Oh, oh, oh. All right. Oh, yeah. At least, actually, this part is done, more or less. Well, for now. So, we don't need to get back to that one. Oh, I'm super tired. We'll see what we manage to do, but I want to do. I'm tired in my brain and in my body at the same time. And we're just gonna do this. This is a no cam stream. So what we need to do today is scroll and scroll and scroll forever. Until we get to this. This now needs special logic. And we gotta figure out what that logic is. So basically, we now have a bunch of vertices here. And a lot of these vertices need special logic. Because it's not possible to just make it do something just like that and then it just works. Unfortunately, basically, if we imagine that this is actually a grid, like so. Right. Then the inner grid here, not this one. This is the outer. This is the outer voxel. The innermost voxel, the core, is actually what we are trying to render here. So what's gonna happen is that I'm trying to stretch all of these vertices out to the neighboring voxels in order to make it easier. But it's not that much easier, so it kind of doesn't really help that much. Basically, actually, maybe it's not that bad. Do I just replace the other vertex? How does this work? If we use these as this is voxels, what needs to happen basically is that when I'm trying to render this here, we're checking everywhere else and we're setting each vertex to be that point, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be a little bit tricky, so... Maybe I should add another thing here. Hello, Alpine. Because here I'm supplying it with the voxel data. Earlier I was doing the same thing, but instead of voxel data I had volume plus alignment. I don't know if it matters. Alright, dude. Good luck, man. Take care. Get back to coding my shitty game this weekend. Sounds good. Because it's not just about the volume and the alignment, because that's just here. But that's not exactly what I need. I don't need the center. I need the edge. Because I think that this voxel here might have a size that's like... I don't know what color to use here. It might have a size that's like this or something, right? And then for this to work, let's say this is the size of this one. This has to connect like this. And in order to achieve that, I'm not exactly sure what to do with it. Because if I target this here, there's still an X and a Y, right? Or an X, Y, and a Z. So if I'm just here, it's gonna change. Could change the vertex. No, no, no. Because we actually have a central edge vertex now. That's the one that matters. So in that case, all I need to do is, instead of getting... This is aligned voxel position. So we need a function that says get aligned voxel side or something like that. Edge. I don't know. I don't really know. What should the... I think it's just multiplying volume by 2. . . 2 . . 2 . . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 But I think it's minus then. And in that case... What am I getting here? I feel like I've calculated this a bunch of times, which is why I kind of want it to be a function, so I can just back to it and stop forgetting about it. Let's try, I'm trying out a different juice today. See if it works out. Or if it is a disappointment. Whoops. It's okay. Mix some mint and chocolate in a pot. I feel like you need a lot of chocolate though, for it to be good. Okay, so position. It's gonna be like 0, minus 1. No, it's right now it's plus 1 minus volume, which is like 0.7. Then we end up with 0.3. 0.3. But then this means in a direction, so if it's if our volume is 0.7 and our alignment is 1, that means we are at 0.3, 3 to 0.7, no, to 1. So is this really... I think this is correct, but 7 should be -4. And then if we add 7 to that, we end up at 0.3. And then we end up with the correct value. So, okay. So this means if it's aligned in that direction. That's correct. We don't have to do this. We just multiply it by the alignment. And we go back to adding. But then the tricky part is how do we add? This is where I feel like I might need to have another thing. Because it's not about the voxel alignment, it's vertex alignment. Because the vertex alignment depends more on this, right? So if I'm rendering this side, then this vertex, as it's going over here, it would always go up here. But the scary part then is like, what if this is aligned up? Yeah, because I think this should be plus voxel data. Volume times vertex alignment. That's what I think it should be. And then we should return a clamped value. Can you clamp upload 3? Yes. But it does take upload 3s there. Hello, Basil. I am programming a 3D renderer. Apparently we have to compile. Yeah. So it's not working really the way it should be at the moment, but I'm trying to render some voxels correctly right now. Right now they're not quite correct. Which software will it be running from? I'm not sure yet. I'm working in Unity right now, but I kind of want to move away from Unity, but there aren't really that many good options for what I want to do right now. I was thinking of using Monogame, but I'm using something called compute shaders, and Monogame doesn't really support it. So you have to use like forks of their engine that some guy is maintaining, that like you never know what's gonna happen with that, right? So unless I can find a good alternative for like incorporating compute shaders into Monogame, I think I'll stick to Unity for a little while longer. Because I'm not prepared to switch to like a C++ engine or something. That's too much for little me. For now, at least. So, right now what we need to do... I think this should be right. But I don't know if it is. Then we need to go back down here. And we gotta see... These are my vertices. As a 3D artist, you might scream internally, but these are my vertices. Eh. But what that means is we need to adjust 0. It's a little tricky. If both neighboring voxel volumes wait. 1, 2. What is that? That's middle, top, up there. It actually needs to check for the one below, doesn't it? So that's then gonna be 1, 2, 0. What is that? Okay. 1, 2, 0. That's middle, up, towards. Okay. So it's this one. And 0, 1, 0. That's left, middle, towards. It's this one. But it also needs that last one. And what is that? That's 0, 2, 1. And if it's the size, if it's that size, then this is where we need to use the new get aligned voxel edge, I think. Go to 3, 0, 0, 0, 0. Voxel data, 1, 1, 1. And a vertex alignment in this scenario is gonna be -1, 1, -1, I think. Because then this vertex here, if this, and these vertices are all empty, then we need to realign this vertex to the central vertex, which means it needs to be based on the vertex size, or the vertex volume. And that should be fine. But then the tricky part is what happens next? I really don't like having to do all of this shit manually. I don't really know. I feel like there's no way to automate it though. I don't know what to do. And I don't know if it's gonna work either. There's got to be a better way. But it's like, I feel like assigning a value and then overwriting the value is also just wasted effort. I don't really like doing that either. But it's that, or you have like 12 if else, if else, if else. I think we just have to do that. It's that simple. So this should then be something like that. And then we need 3 of them, I think. And then this is gonna be equal 0. This one is equal 0. This... oh. This one is equal 0. I am kind of winging it a bit, so... But maybe, what if it can have the same logic? I'm not so sure it can. How do I visualize this? Like, what if we have a block here, we have a block here, a block here, we have a block there, we have a block there. There are blocks everywhere, except for here. And then if this one does not have a block, but that one does, because here we're trying to adjust this bastard. This is so hard to visualize. Let's try doing something a bit more like this, I guess. And then we do this. We chunk out the middle one here. More or less. Now, what we're actually trying to do here right now it's a little tricky, but this isn't actually like a full cube, because the reason I am doing it like this is so I can fetch all the neighboring voxels, right? And in order to do that, I am just creating a cube that has the vertices it needs in order to crease based on all of its neighbors. Because the way I was doing it before, I was trying to do it with just squares like this, and it doesn't work. You need to always have a crease or a seam out towards the edge. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And that's why I've ended up with so many triangles. Otherwise, it's just not possible. And so basically what we are doing is we are rendering this voxel. This is the core voxel that we are rendering right now. And what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to decide what are we doing with the corner. Because by default, it will draw as a circle. And because there's an edge here, it's a small circle, right? Like it can be a circle that's this big. And because of that, the way it works is, okay, we're connected here. In that case, this edge gets set to over here, wherever that is. And because of that, we get a shape like this instead. And the same thing is true down here. If this one is full, I'm gonna set the corner like this vertex here. And then we draw a line there, which means that instead of getting this here, we'll end up with this. Right? And then we repeat this for all of the neighbors. And then there we get this, and then this now looks like that. And you see, eventually it's going to be a full quad, basically. But the problem is that when we are at the edge of somewhere, I have to decide what to do with this vertex here. Because right now it's just sitting here like it's 0. So what I'm doing is I'm setting it to be the size of the voxel. But it's not that simple. Because it really depends on its neighbors. Because if I try to set this to just be, like if this was empty, if I set this to be the size of its of the voxel, or the volume of the voxel, we'll end up with a circle, and that's what I want. But if this one is the same here, this one also doesn't have anything here, and it doesn't have anything here, then it's also going to do the same thing, and it's going to be a circle. And then this thing here becomes a problem. Or rather, the problem is that it's going to end up looking like this. And then these two connect. And then this connects like that. So we get like balls like that, right? So the way it needs to work, I need to get into the headspace for this to make sense. But the way it needs to work really is that I have to remember that when we are on this side, I'm looking at X. It's really only X that matters. Or this would be forward rather. This is forward and back. So this would be Z. And because of that, if this tile is empty, then this corner vertex, instead of being set to here or to here, it needs to be set here. To the top of whatever circle we have here. Because that's the only way that we can get a correct line here. That'll create an edge. And so that's the issue here. If the top one is missing here and the others aren't, that means we're going to be doing this here and this. So where does this go? I could do this. I could just do this. Or set it... I think it should be set to its volume. And because it's like this is actually going to be like this. That. And then this needs to be set to its volume. Anyway, I have lied to myself. This is a trick. Because this one is empty as well. Oh, actually, I mean, it'll end up like that. And that's where the conundrum lies on this side. This one is missing. And then what? Because if this tile exists, then things are going to behave in one way. But now that this tile is missing, this is set to... This is going to be set to its volume here, I think. Yeah. And then this here needs to be set to the volume of the one below. Yeah, okay. Only these two. I was tricking myself into thinking this one mattered, but it doesn't. It's only this and this that matters, because we are only operating on one axis here. So the last one, 0 to 1, needs to go here. which does make this easier. And then here we only need to check if one is empty. That. Oi. Oh. So then this should be a little bit easier, perhaps. However, it isn't actually. So I'm wrong. This one actually does matter. Fuck! Doesn't it? Or maybe not. I don't know. Because it's just that this is when we're checking from this side, right? It's cute and all. But when I'm checking from the other side, from this side too, those same vertices will be involved. And that means that oh boy. I think it actually does need that. Ooh. This is so difficult for my brain. It becomes extra hard because it's actually like the vertices are actually always scrunched up. Because whichever side we are looking at will not have their first vertices, more or less. Or because the idea with the vertices is that they connect to all of the neighboring voxels. And if I can see a tile, it doesn't have a neighboring voxel in that direction, right? And that's the scenario in which the voxel needs to be assigned. So if we just start with something simple, here we do if voxel volume does not equal 0. But if we check number 8, number 8 is 0, 0, minus 2. So then if we do number 8 first, maybe we can get into this. If voxel beta 110 dot volume is not equal 0, then we do get align voxel position, else we have to set it to VA8 equals get aligned voxel edge position float 0, 0, 0. Voxel data 110. And then the vertex alignment. Needs to in this case be float 3, 0, 0, minus 1. I think. That should be number 5. Or number 8. Well, I don't know why I said 5. My brain is super tired. That's gonna be the middle one in the front. I don't know why I said number 5. I think I read a 5 somewhere. But as you can see, what that has resulted in is nothing. No, this needs to be 111. That's why this is wrong. It needs to be assigned to the central voxel. And now, I'm not sure what we actually... Oh, there we go. You can see up over here now. We're now setting the central voxel, or central vertex, to be the size of the... of the voxel volume. So the goal now is to connect these together. Because right now what's happening is that the default code I've implemented just turns them into balls, right? It just takes the default size of it and If it doesn't find anything, it takes the voxel volume, divides it by 2, and then that's what we set every side to. And then that creates these little balls. And if we look here, this side should actually be only blue. That's the goal here. So why don't we do the easy ones first? And that means we just did the easiest one, which is the middle. Because it's always going to be aligned to the middle. And then we can do one. So what do we do with one? I think the main thing they have to do is just check below themselves, maybe. Is that it? Then if this is voxel data 110 or 010, then we check 011 dot volume does not equal 0. Then we need it aligned to that voxel edge. In a way that I'm not sure. I think it does need to align on the left. Maybe it actually only aligns on the left. And then else, then we need to get an aligned voxel edge based on 111 and this is now -2 0 0. Maybe. And this is aligned like that, I think. And then we try, see what happens. You can now see that we have successfully added another axis here, kind of. This one here is correct. But strangely, this one is kind of not working. So which one is the problem? Hmm. Maybe like that. I was using the wrong data. That looks better. Now we are connecting to the left. Much superior. Oof. But the trouble here is that feel like this vertex has to be correct from 2 positions. So maybe this should be like this. But I'm worried that if I do that, that it's actually gonna be incorrect. And we're not gonna get a straight line. But we can try. And see how it goes. There's not much else to do about it. And here, I feel like this is wrong no matter what. This should never, none of these should be aligned voxel position. These should all be aligned voxel edge. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. And -2, 2, -2. What am I doing? This is -2 in... No, it is 2. Because it's top. Okay, no, never mind. There's nothing up there. And it needs to get set to here. If there's nothing there... Because it's kind of, it's simple-ish, right? Like the logic is simple-ish. It's if this voxel doesn't exist. Like if we look at this one here, we're actually skipping the voxel that's on top here, because it doesn't exist. And then we end up down here. And if this one doesn't exist, then we move back in. Because the point here is to connect to neighbors. But then here it becomes like, it's so tedious, man. But maybe it is okay to just set it to be the volume. No, it isn't, because, look. This edge, if there's something, like, this edge here, it can just go back in here if there's nothing here. Because it doesn't need to do anything else. But the corners, they have a lot more logic to them that they need to follow. So here on the edge, this one, this is just this one, it just goes there. And then we check up here. But the problem here is that if this one doesn't exist, but this one does, then this it needs to connect with it. But not just like shooting it at the wall, that doesn't work either. Because let's say it looks like this. We've got a one there, one there. This one's empty. So then what happens is that we draw a line there. And up here, we don't do anything. But this one is drawing a line here. Here as well, there's nothing here. This one's drawing a line there. And then this here needs to come back down. Because it needs to be aligned with here, I think. Because we need to be able to just pass through here. This is going to create a triangle here. And then this here is going to do the same. It's going to create a... So this has to create a triangle. Because this needs to connect together. I'm wondering if maybe we can do some shenanigans and we set up the other tiles, or we set up the side ones first, and then maybe it's possible to do some kind of just averaging or something on the edges. Just like add this one and this one together. But this one doesn't really actually exist. That's the issue here. It doesn't, like, this isn't something that exists. All that we have is this one and this one down here. So we can't create an average there. And, on top of that, it's not so simple. Because it will also, depending on where I have to put this, it will also deform this triangle, or both of these triangles. So if this goes here, this triangle gets stretched. If it goes up here, then this one gets squeezed. I think this one's pretty much correct. Perhaps. But not exactly, because I'm checking the tile that's behind it. But there's also a tile in this direction. Because this code is uniform for each side. So if that doesn't exist, and both volumes exist, then I think it's just gonna have to be set to its maximum. Perhaps. Which would be -1, 0, -1. I don't know what to think of that. That didn't work very well, did it? In this scenario, the ideal situation here is that this is here. This should be a diagonal spike. Here, this should also be a spike over to the left. Yeah, okay. Sorry. These are flipped. It's got some potential here. Here it's still wrong though. I think. It's actually more correct here than it is here. I don't know. Maybe not. I think at the end of the day, this might unfortunately not work that well. I mean, it should be fine. But we'll see. Because what I'm doing is I'm kind of stretching them out. Like I'm saying, okay, this is the central vertex, and then we stretch you out to over here, and this should be stretched to like over there or to down there. And because I'm doing this, instead of just calculating where it should be and just setting it to here, we'll see if the UV is just going to be fucked up or not. Either way, we do need this many triangles, but the question is, should I set it to be there, or should I set it to be in the corner? and just keep it all in here. Because here, for example, the fact that if I'm setting this to here, and then this is going to be like this whole stretch is the UV. And then if it snaps back to here, because these two exist, then the UV is going to be really short all of a sudden. So I would have to like make something in regards to the UV here. I don't know. Right? Because here, what the shapes should be like here now is like this. This gets cut like this. Then there's gonna be a ball here. So this is gonna become a bit spherical. And then it ends up like that. And then it's gonna be like this. I'm kind of wondering if I should just dig out the old math. Like, I've already done all of this once, more or less. The question is that... Should I just do that again? Because I like this solution because it means less math. I just have to figure out where to assign the vertex. But it's man, it's so hard. Plus, I have another vertex now and it changes things a bit. Because this... This here... Maybe it should snap to here. The way this can snap to there. Ooh. But no, The entire point was to put it somewhere here, so it would connect. But it doesn't. I don't feel like this is gonna work. There are too many small issues. I feel like we have to just calculate. And instead of setting it to here, it just needs to be set to here. And we just stay within the bounds of the voxel for any position. Because I feel like it could work, but I feel like if I do finally get through and finish it, it's still not gonna work because of the UVs. And that's why I think we should stay in here. Otherwise, I think it's gonna become a nightmare. And because of that, we're gonna need to just do all the calculations. And the difference is that before, I had 8 vertices. Now I have 26. Oh, ho, 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 ho. But if you write some functions, it might be easier. The sheer amount of work to do this is going to be absolutely buckling. I don't know exactly what to do. It's still like the corner that's the fuckiest. It's just because the corner is gone doesn't necessarily mean that much. I'm actually not so sure it would have worked anyway. Now that I think about it, because even if I have a bunch of lines like this that connect, and they all connect to each other like this, I think the central vertex is still gonna be wrong. I might be too tired for this right now. However, I think we have to return. We have to return to a previous solution. Which I don't know if that's going to be feasible either. I mean, this would work. Wait, no, it wouldn't. it? No, it wouldn't. Because we'd have one line here. And let's say this is a high line. Then this is going to create an edge like this. And then from this direction, let's say this is a low line. Over there. And that's going to create a cavernous part here. I don't know if that, I think that would be ideal. That's not exactly how this should work. This voxel that ties together, it needs to be averaged. It needs to. And it just needs to be the same. It just needs to be this voxel, this voxel, this. Or it's just the volume of each. So yeah, I feel like the solution would be mostly the same. It's just that now we also have a central vertex that it doesn't really make a difference that much, because it should be the same. Like the central vertex should just be, it should just be flat, really. But it allows to deform the other triangles more. So yes. Voxel shifting. I think I'm gonna back this up and we'll see. I still do want to set up a GitHub, but don't know if it'll work. Anyway, until next time, thanks for hanging. Have a good night. Bye-bye.